Hi, and welcome everyone to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Hello, everyone. I hope those of you in the States had a wonderful Thanksgiving. It was nice. I say nice because since my husband passed away, not that I'm bitching and moaning, but holidays just different. But anyway, I hope all of you had a wonderful and blessed Thanksgiving. So today I'm super excited because we're going to be talking about a topic that I've been very intrigued with and never really did a deep dive into. So I think this is going to be very, very interesting. And we're going to be talking about the Akashic Record and Helena Blawatsky. I probably destroyed her name, but I think you guys will get it as we continue on. So again, welcome to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. And of course, we're broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Much thanks and love to them. So get ready to delve into the life and revolutionary ideas of one of the most foundational and debated figures in modern esoteric history, and that is Helena Petrova Blawatsky. I think I got it right. She is known as a tireless world traveler, a controversial figure for sure, a very formidable writer, and she co-founded the Theosophical Society in 1875. Her massive works fundamentally shaped the spiritual landscape of the 20th century by synthesizing Eastern and Western occult traditions into what she calls the ancient wisdom. And I love that. I love the merging of the two. But perhaps our most enduring and fascinating legacy lies in the concept that she helped popularize, which is the Akashic Records. And we are going to dive into them as well for the folks that aren't too familiar with what they are. And they basically are a notion of a universal energetic ledger recording every thought, every action and event across all of time. So how did Blawatsky's extraordinary journey lead her to these profound revelations, and how did she adapt ancient concept of Akasha into the modern understanding of the cosmic memory? So with all that said, I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, Michelle Desrochers. She is an esteemed researcher and expert on theosophy and metaphysical history. Michelle, let me get you on stage here.
How are you? Look at you being all cute saying expert.
I knew you were going to get that word. I knew.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay.
You
Yeah.
are.
No,
You are our expert.
no,
Absolutely.
no.
But we're thrilled, always
Thank
thrilled
you.
to have you here. And of course, we have to start saying hello to folks. I hope some folks join. I know it's the day after Thanksgiving, but I hope that if everybody isn't turkey stuffed, that they'll pop in. But hello, dear Heidi. Oh, Heidi says, I haven't heard of her. Yeah, I'm intrigued too. And I've done like a little bit of toe dipping into the topic. And I thought, who better to have this conversation with than Michelle? So,
Well,
here we are.
thank you. I have to say, I have heard of her. I have, again, toe dipped, so to speak, and this gave me the reason to do a bit of a deeper dive.
Yeah.
An intriguing figure, and there was a link to, another interesting character that I had been researching on that pretty much was the foundation, I think, for theosophical, the society per se. But
Yeah.
before we get into all of that, basically, I mean, you have to remember that Helena Blavatsky, was born, right, to a very wealthy family in Russia. And it was her
Right.
education that put her in contact
Yeah.
with many different ancient cultures and traditions, and it fascinated her. I was the same from
Mhm.
a very young age. I always said, oh, well, my mother always said, you're an old soul, because I was
Yeah.
always interested in things that were really, really old. And I would always watch, I was this weird kid just watching documentaries at a really young age. And it was always things like that that interest me. I loved old architecture, and
Yeah.
I think some people are just naturally built, by design or by past lives,
Yes.
or lineage, like having ancestral, um, imprinting sort of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, right, it follows us. So
It does. It does.
I tend to wonder if this was sort of the same situation, but it definitely started her path. And when she co-founded the Theosophical Society in 1875, it was essentially to study the
Yeah.
occult, but also to study spiritual knowledge. And she definitely reintroduced a lot of things like reincarnation, and
Mhm.
I like the Masters of Wisdom, and she wrote all kinds of books on this. Like, she really was looked at as an individual who was the woman who brought, or the person who brought everything back to the forefront. Because
Right.
I think realistically, there are people in this world who never lost sight of that, you
Yes.
know? Never lost sight of that. But when you're looking at some of the elite people in the world, for example, they probably have access and probably own a whole lot of literature and books that are within private libraries all
Oh, yeah.
over the world. And they grow up like this. I mean, I had a guest on the show a few weeks ago, and she grew up, in a Luciferian family, but she grew up in real mystery schools. Spent 40 years learning in
Oh.
real mystery schools. So those mystery schools are still out there,
Oh, yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that's something that, the ancients were said to have studied in. So if they're still around, even in modern times, it shows you that they never disappeared, and that there are people out there who are still being educated within those systems.
Yeah, and a lot of it's just so underground that we don't, we're not really aware of what's happening.
Only
But,
select families.
and it's funny how people, who said that? Patsy said, people are coming across her name, and and I always look at things as synchronicitous, like there's a reason. I've been
Mhm,
seeing her name, and then I started watching some more videos on her, and I'm like, gotta talk about this woman,
mhm,
because she, like you said, from an early age, she became very psychic as well.
mhm,
She showed psychic abilities at a very, very early age. But I
mhm,
thought, before we dig into her, because another topic that always fascinates me are the Akashic records.
mhm,
And, again, done a lot of reading on it. I've heard people who can tap into them,
mhm.
and they do kind of like predictions based on them.
Mhm,
So I thought, Michelle, we could dig into like the concept of the Akashic records,
mhm.
because she did so much work in that area as well.
Yeah, controversial stuff, she
Yeah,
love or hate her. It's that's that sort of a situation, but she's
yeah,
definitely left her mark. I mean, I guess you have to look at the fact, like, what exactly are the Akashic records? I always like
right.
to say it's the story of your life.
Yeah,
It's essentially what they are. Some people, are naturally gifted and can tap into them. I think there are a lot of people who will give readings and so on, who don't realize that they're tapping into them, right? But I mean, they're real. They've always been something that I believe Edgar Casey is also one of those people who could
oh
tap
yeah,
into it to help people. You know, he could tap into, even, like I said, this is the story of our lives, or is it the story of the life of the universe? We can get into past civilizations. He seemed to be able to explore all of these different historical
Yeah.
events with great accuracy. And he could tap in, and, if he'd get a client, he could literally tap in and say, well, you were Atlantean, and
Mm.
get a whole array of information just from that person's record.
Yeah,
So it's,
yeah.
it's, it's like a spiritual internet, just kind
I
of
know,
get
it's
in there.
crazy. It's
It
great.
is.
He
Yeah,
did a lot of, health diagnoses too for
he
people,
did. He
which
did.
I thought was so cool.
Well,
But
if you had somebody who's had a fear of drowning or a fear of water, for
yes,
example, like I just terrified to swim. I'm terrified of the water. And you find out, no, wait, it's because you drowned in another life. And he was
exactly.
able to take that away from him. Or somebody who suffered from migraines, and you tap in and go, well, you were shot right in the back of the head,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? Like there's so much
Totally.
to all that stuff.
Yeah.
Other half.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know. So
Always love to see Wayne pop in. He's
yeah.
always full of wisdom as well.
Yes, he is. He'll tell you no, but he does.
No, he is. He is. I would love to have him on the show,
Oh, he
and I
would do
thought
it.
of that. Oh,
Yeah, he
yeah,
would
and I
do it.
thought of that the other day. I'm like, "I gotta ask Michelle because
Oh,
I'd love
yeah.
to have Wayne.
Oh,
Wayne, I'm
yeah.
gonna be sending an email to Michelle, get you on here."
He's a lot of fun.
Oh, he's great. He's great. You're both so blessed. So
No.
I kind of dug into like because again, I've been reading about the Akashic records and trying to like even when I meditate, I've been trying to like put that vibe out there to see if maybe I could tap into them. No such luck.
Mhm,
But I've been doing some more research. And of course, the concept of them comes from theosophy and other spiritual esoteric traditions.
mhm,
They're often described as comprehensive, non physical repository, which I love that,
mhm,
of all universal events, thoughts, words, emotions,
mhm.
and intentions that have ever occurred, whether it's in the past, present, or future. Now, think about that.
Mhm,
That's like the whole of humanity,
mhm.
a library basically full of this information. Have you ever tapped into them or knew somebody that did? Because I've talked to psychics that claim to have. I mean,
Well, you need to talk to Laura Lee Potvin, who is on our network because she does.
well,
And
she's going to be on the show again soon. So I'm going to,
ta
that's a
talk
great
to
topic.
she is, yeah, she's the gal to talk to about that,
All right, good.
because she does that. Have I? I don't know. I am never afraid to say I have no freaking idea
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
pick up
yeah. Of
I pick up
course.
on things, when I
Yeah.
read and things like that. Like I'll often say, "Well, I don't know where it comes from." Most of the time, I
Mhm.
won't even remember it.
Yeah.
It's very inconsequential. If I say something, it's because you're meant to know it, and I and,
Right.
and most of the time, I'll be just like, "Meh, that's good," and you say, "Oh,
Oh, what
what?
did Wayne say here? I guess he's talking about Laura Lee. She let me listen to a tape recording and it was
No,
what? No?
no, that comes up from something a neighbor, I think."
Oh, you could hear her voice change into a girl with an I don't know.
I don't
Sorry,
know what you're
Wayne.
talking about, Wayne.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
You
But,
know, Michelle, I think sometimes when I dream, because I have these freaky weird dreams every night, and the ones I remember with clarity are the
oh,
ones, of course, closest to the morning.
mhm.
But sometimes I'll get up to like run to the loo or something, and I remember the dreams in the middle of the night. And I think sometimes when we dream,
Mm.
we're tapping into the records just by default. I don't know. It just feels that way.
Oh boy, my thoughts on that. It's interesting because I just had a guest on who spoke about that because he was talking about
Oh,
programming and things like that and how the brain tends to split. And we started talking about it. And it's funny because it's come up twice with two guests, almost like within a day apart. And she found it funny when I said, no, I'm actually in my head. I said, I have to write this down. So I'm aware in my dream. I said, I need to write this down. I can't forget this. So she goes, it's funny that you take notes. And I'm like, I know, I don't know what to tell you. But
oh, I saw that show. That was
yeah,
an excellent show.
with
That was
Elsa,
good.
yeah, yeah. But this other guest had said to me, on Tuesday's guest, actually, he just said, no. He goes, what happens is we have like from like this part back, the 90% of our brain. He goes, this is where, and I heard this recently on a documentary as well. This is where, like, this is the long-term memory, and things sort
Mhm.
of get shoved back there. So your short-term memory, right, tends
Yeah.
to, well, I can't remember it. but it can be
Right.
accessed. And this is probably why people can go for hypnosis and be able to get back into that long-term memory. Do we tap into Akashic records while we sleep? It's very possible. I believe we just travel. I believe that
Yeah.
we go all over the place. Like sometimes Wayne and I will have weirdly similar dreams, or
Mm.
there'll be similarities in the dreams, like literally like the same night, kind of like a dream weaving, maybe that's
Yeah.
that
Oh, I
sort of
like
thing.
that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of different theories around that, you know. Um, yeah, but I think what
Yeah.
um
Travel. Yeah.
oh yeah, I totally believe that. Totally believe that. It's interesting because there are even reports of the U.S. military that
Mm.
taking it seriously enough that they attempted to hack into it.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Akashic records. I'm just like, wow, what? Say what? What did you do? So that's actually, I mean, of
A thing.
course,
Yeah.
right? They're
Yeah.
into that sort of things, but they're believed to be like a true source of information. And a man named Henry Lorenzi, he was sort of an esoteric mystic teacher, and he added that the Akashic records also provide knowledge. Knowledge is not the absolute truth, but truth of what people thought or believed, loved. And it's like one of these things
Oh,
that, when you go for reading and they say, well, your reading will change if as soon as you come to a crossroads, the minute you change your mind and your path changes because you're straying
absolutely.
away from, they say it's also very, very similar
Mm.
to that sort of thing. It's
Yeah.
not it's not written in stone that it can change.
It's so frustrating to me that all of like the best things are hidden from us. And it takes so much work and energy and time to like unearth what we believe to be true. Now, I interviewed a guy who had a unbelievable NDE.
Mm.
And I've had a few on like Peter Pangori
Yeah,
and so many
he's
others.
interesting.
He's
Yeah.
amazing. I love him.
Mhm.
Um, but he said that when he had his NDE, he was brought to the place where the Akashic records are.
Mhm.
And he said he saw this like golden, this is how he described it because I'll never forget. He said it was like a golden throne. There were no books or anything like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
And he said that there were angels, like archangels, guarding this like stepway up to this throne. And inside the throne, it seemed like there was an entity just of pure light. And he said it
Mm.
was so bright that he couldn't look at it. And
Mm.
that's what he was told what the Akashic records were.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it different for everyone as to how we
Right.
envision things? I don't know. Peter's story is incredible. I mean, he's been on a
Oh,
few
yeah.
times with me, and my God, the information, like his whole experience was
Yeah.
incredible. So I think with that being said, he may have even gone through a step or two,
Yeah. Yeah.
that some of us maybe, you know, haven't in that process. Because I mean, I think NDEs transform you regardless, but I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it took him, it's like it boomeranged him off a totally different path altogether when he came back.
Yeah. When he tells that story, he still cries. Like,
Yeah,
it still makes him teary.
yeah,
And
very
it was one
emotional.
of the most incredible NDEs I've heard to date.
Mhm, mhm,
So, yeah, who
yeah,
knows? I don't know. Who said Wayne
yeah,
said, "I think every person who sees the records presented in vastly different ways." That could be true too.
mhm,
Maybe that was his version of them, and ours would be different.
mhm,
I don't know.
yeah.
It's just so fascinating.
Well,
Um,
Wayne's had incredible NDEs too. He also said that what he was speaking, when he had made that comment, it was due to a neighbor of his who had, a past life on the Titanic, and when she
oh,
recorded herself, the voice of a little girl came through.
oh, that's what that comment was.
Yeah, yeah, that's what he put up there. I've heard the story, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal, but it goes to show, like, when you have your Akashic record, something that goes back, I mean, it tackles what, every single life you've had?
Yeah, I
So
know. Mind
so
blowing.
I know. So when you factor in all the people that are on this planet, but then you wonder, does it
Exactly.
factor in the non-player characters?
She
That's
t Blavatsky talks about them too. I have a
yeah.
little video I wanna show. It's so amazing
Yeah.
you brought that up. But before that, it says that the Akashic Records, store the life experiences of every human being and all
Mhm.
entities since the
Mhm.
beginning of time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It documents past lives, current circumstances, and potential future paths. So not only the past, the present of every human, but also the future. And it also documents karmic patterns, soul contracts, and lessons that the soul is
Mm,
meant to learn. I mean, is that not mind blowing?
it is. It is. And it goes to show you, and it just it it's like it automatically you have to say it's almost like an internet because it updates constantly.
Yes.
You know, there's like so many layers, I guess, or dimensions that go above the Akashic
Yes.
records, which contain the true sources of information. There's
Right.
just so much, but it does, it does not necessarily, like they say, represent reality in its truest form, but they represent people's interpretation of whatever
Exactly.
is being investigated at that time. So,
Exactly. It's crazy. Well, what you mentioned about Blavatsky,
mhm,
she talked about this stuff. Well, let me play this clip because
yeah,
this is a
yeah,
good summary of, so people could
mhm,
just get a good idea.
Civilization that
mhm.
was destroyed by creating soulless beings to serve them. And what if I told you she warned that we would face the exact same test? This is about AI, Atlantis, and why history might be repeating itself right now. Helena Blavatsky never heard the term artificial intelligence. She died in 1891, before the first computer, before even basic electronics. But in The Secret Doctrine, she wrote extensively about something that sounds eerily familiar: advanced civilizations creating artificial beings without souls, and the catastrophic consequences. She didn't predict ChatGPT, but she predicted the exact spiritual crisis we're facing with AI. Let me show you. According to Blavatsky, Atlantis wasn't destroyed by water, it was destroyed by hubris. Here's what she actually wrote: the Atlanteans became a nation of wicked magicians. They cultivated the physical and intellectual at the expense of the psycho-spiritual. She describes how they created what she called soulless beings, not robots, but entities without spiritual essence, designed only to serve. Now listen to this quote: it is the spiritual evolution of the inner, immortal man that forms the fundamental tenet in the occult sciences. The physical evolution is but the handmaiden of the spiritual. She's saying when a civilization focuses only on intellectual and physical power, ignoring spiritual development, it's doomed.
Mm.
Sound familiar? We're creating intelligences that can outthink us, but have no soul, no compassion, no wisdom, just like Atlantis. She's saying real consciousness comes from spiritual source. It's not just processing power. You can't create consciousness by adding more computational ability. Now think about AI. It has intelligence, processing. It lacks consciousness, awareness. It has no spiritual essence. It's exactly what she warned about. But here's the kicker. She said this challenge is necessary for human evolution.
Wow.
Real quote: the whole order of nature evinces a progressive march towards a higher life. We need this challenge to force us to develop what makes us truly human. The secret doctrine teaches the progressive development of everything, worlds as well as atoms, and this stupendous development has neither conceivable beginning nor imaginable end. According to her framework, civilizations rise through spiritual development. They gain material power. They forget spiritual source. They create soulless servants. They fall. We're at step 4 right now with AI. The question is, can we avoid step 5? Civilization that was destroyed by
I mean, that's pretty mind blowing. She predicted NPCs, non-player
mhm,
character,
mhm.
and AI. Just she didn't know the verbiage to use but
That's
she
right.
knew she knew how to describe it. This woman
Mhm.
blows my mind. Now
Yeah.
she traveled to like India and all over, like to
Mhm.
get a lot of this wisdom, other than what was innate, right, inside of
Mhm.
her.
Oh, yeah, I mean, she came from a family of wealth, so she could continue with her studies, you know, without any sort of interference. She was definitely privileged, let's put it that way. And when she associated with Masons and Rosicrucians, Martinists, circles throughout Europe, that also makes it gives you a bit of insight into their beliefs and their world. Essentially, again, it's like a love her, hate her sort of thing. She was
Mhm.
more new age because she was bringing back a lot of esoteric stuff that the church already knew about, by the way, and would have considered to be heretic, but I mean, they to them, it was just blasphemous, some of the things she was saying. What I liked, though, is that she was a co-founder, of all of this whole movement. But what I found interesting is that according to her writing, she said there were like 7 root races
Mhm.
assembling on or for Earth, and each root race is divided into 7 sub races. Okay, so a 5 foot, only 5 foot, 5 root. Say that 10 times. Root races so far have appeared. Francis Bacon.
Oh.
Okay, this is where I'm going to go with this because this is interesting. Francis Bacon, whom Theosophy considers to be the legendary Count Saint Germain. So
Mhm.
here we go with Count Saint Germain. Count Saint Germain was an alchemist. Okay, and his real name, it was stated that his real name, okay, was Francis Rakowski II,
Mhm.
a deposed prince of Transylvania who spent much of his early years at the Siena University, considered the best education anyone could ever have. Okay.
Mhm.
He was a vampire, it's believed.
Oh.
So now we're spinning off here
Yeah.
as to this ancient knowledge. So Francis Bacon was really not. It was Francis, right? Like whatever the hell I just said. Again, say that a million times.
Yeah.
But he basically, worked with scholars, and he was around the time of 1710. Some people believe even earlier than that. Okay, so they figured he was born around 1710. Now scholars are saying probably earlier than that. I believe, even Einstein touched on this at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
I would have to find those notes. But here's where it gets really clear. I mean, this guy, he was all within the inner circles throughout
Mm.
Europe. So he definitely would have had this incredible knowledge, and she would have had access to some of that knowledge.
Oh.
But, the first documented evidence of the immortal count's existence goes back to roughly the year 1743. But when he emerged in London, 2 years after that, records show another appearance emerging in Scotland. Then his whereabouts kind of just going to go, you
Mhm.
know,
So they're
emerged
saying
again.
he was a vamp? He was a vamp?
Well, this is what they think. He mastered the afterlife. So 1758, this guy reemerges in France,
Yeah.
and unseemed, like he's unchanged by age at all. So the royals and the elites of Europe described him as looking like 40. Now bear in mind, this is 1758.
Yeah.
Allegedly he was born 1710. So yeah, that's
Right.
not far off. In
Mhm.
1776, okay, uh, he he resurfaces in Germany under an assumed name, and he counts himself the Count Weldon. He befriends the elites such as King Frederick, Prince Karl of Hesse, I mean, all within Germany. But what's weird about it is he disappears for all these years and resurfaces in New Orleans.
What?
And there
When
have been
was that? When did he
recently.
return?
Oh, I mean, there were sightings of him into the 80s, 1980s.
Holy jeez.
Right? So
That's
this is
crazy.
who, when you factor this in, and people are looking at one of these races, right? Which just said is this guy.
Yeah, yeah. That's all I know about him from like my school days is that he was a philosopher, a statesman, and he championed the scientific method. Like those were
Sure
the three.
did. He was an alchemist.
Yeah.
And basically they figured, that sure he was founder of this thing, or they considered him. They were not so much a founder, but he was one of the roots of it because he transcended time.
What a
I
great
mean,
show that would be to do a whole show on him.
oh yeah, it's definitely in the works with that and vampires, and he'll be included in all of
Mm,
that. Yeah, there's a lot with that. Like I just read like a little snippet of it, but there's a lot with him, right
yeah.
down to the different. As you can see, like it comes up in her writings and her like there's information that she was made privy to that it isn't just floating around out there.
She-
It's not yeah, it's not that interesting, or it's not that common to be able to have
mm,
access to some of these things. And this is according to her writings, right? Like, but she also, when you look at the church who really didn't have a whole lot of use for her, right? She's been asked like, well, what was her thoughts on Jesus? And she wasn't wrong, in some of this stuff because now people
yeah.
and scholars are starting to say, okay, you know what? This was a fact. Back then, she suggested that he had been secretly trained by the Essenes. But his grandmother was said to have been in a scene. Joseph of Arimathea, his uncle, his mother. I mean, there was a whole lot to the whole Essene community, which later went on to become, like the Cathars, and
Yeah,
there's a
yeah, yeah.
whole lot of history with that. But she did not invent this connection. He was a traveler, and he'd been to all kinds of places, and he went to India, and he studied and studied, believed to have maybe studied in the mystery school as well. So
Yeah.
the idea that he influenced Jesus in the early Jesus movement it already fascinated scholars and still does. Right. But she had also said that, oh, he's a really wise man. And he actually described him again as a man. Right. And he was a doer of remarkable deeds, a teacher of the people to receive the truth with delight, is pretty much what she said. Persuaded both Jewish people and many of the Greeks as well. He was the Messiah. Like,
Yeah.
but, because I think it veered away from the narrative, that was not an acceptable thing.
Yeah, Matthew makes a good point that some spiritual masters have the ability to manifest physical bodies from the astral plane in order
Mhm.
to help humanity. It doesn't mean they're vampires, and that's so true, right?
Yeah, that's how they basically looked at Saint Germain, especially showing up in New Orleans, which is, came over again from a lot of French heritage in the Creole, and, a lot of different mixed heritages, and that's how they labeled him. Because let's face it, New Orleans, they have accounts of vampire sightings and
Sure.
things of that nature. It's one of the reasons Anne Rice held it so dear,
Yeah, that's
or
right.
her New Orleans, as she called
That's right. Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
So it is interesting. There's a whole lot of different theories with that, but it's fascinating.
It really is because she touched like upon so many
Mhm,
different countries and their philosophies.
mhm,
Isn't Isis Unveiled one of her like
mhm,
first major works?
mhm.
Did you discover anything about what she learned from Egyptian theosophy? Like, had that popped up in your research?
Well, I mean, I think, there's a lot of
Yeah,
our history that goes back to, to ancient Egypt and the ancient Sumerians before that. A lot of the mystery schools were said to be in Egypt as
yeah,
well. Right? I think with that, like, I didn't dig a whole lot into that, but again, there's just so much. There's so much stuff. But it just came down to, like I said, wisdom,
yeah,
religion, right?
yeah.
And beyond that, I mean, you can start getting into the whole goddess thing. Some people believe that Isis and Mary Magdalene and Lilith and, Sophia,
Right.
they believe that these were all like like the same, not the same people, but the same, like going back to ancient Lemuria, like they're the same people, the same the same
Yeah.
idea,
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah. I mean, I
So,
I tend to believe that too. Now,
mhm,
not to be, poo-poo on her work, but Blavatsky was also a controversial figure, as you said. She
mm,
wasn't liked by the church, but
mm,
she was also accused of fraud regarding her psychic phenomenon. So back then,
mm.
that was like a big thing. They used to hold seances, and it was
Oh,
like, yeah,
yes, yes. They did, but you have to also remember too that that was a time of
yeah,
the whole spiritualist movement
yeah,
was a time for debunking. They were pulling out the charlatans. That went against everything that modern academia would have supported. It went against what the
right.
church would have supported. The Victorians loved it. That whole time period. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we could do a show just on the whole age that the
Oh, that'd be
Victorians
great.
and the seances, picnicking in the graveyards,
Yeah.
different places and places like Lilydale, places you could go to that would focus on this sort of stuff, the whole macabre
Mhm.
aspect of telling ghost stories instead of receiving gifts at Christmas and giving these outrageously crazy macabre cards. And, like there's a whole lot to that entire movement. And the,
That'd
the,
be
the
a good
idea of,
show to do, like, right before Christmas.
well, you and I are going to be doing that show.
Oh, good. You did
We
say
are,
that,
we're
right.
doing that. Yeah, we're going to be doing that on the 30th.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Well, it'll be
Fun,
after
fun.
Christmas, but it'll be
That's
right
alright.
after. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still the same
Yeah.
seasonal vibe, so we'll
It
be good.
is. Yeah, it is. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's a whole lot of really fantastic information there. So it's not surprising that she would take a hit. I mean, even during the age of the spiritualist movement, you had Harry Houdini, who was out there trying to
Yeah,
debunk every medium that he could get his hands on, right? And that being said, it's not out of the question that this would have, the same
yeah.
sort of influence on the other side of the world as well.
Yeah, didn't Houdini's wife spend decades trying to communicate with him, and
Yeah,
and
they had, I think, a safe word. They had that one
yeah,
word that they
right.
know. When you hear this word that it's me. And until he got that, there was no way. I mean, you go to Lilydale, you look at Abraham Lincoln and his wife, they frequented Lilydale. So did Harry
Yeah,
Houdini.
yeah,
Harry Houdini trying to debunk, and the Lincolns were there just trying to do spirit communication for their son. Like
yeah,
this isn't out of, seances at the White House. I mean,
yeah,
this isn't out of
yeah.
the norm. It was the age, right?
And
So,
now we're doing it still, and we're using tech to
mhm,
help us. I mean, and
mm,
you know that. You have so many tech
yeah.
tools and people are always
Oh, yeah.
inventing new ways to communicate,
Mhm,
with the spirit world.
mhm.
Um, I don't know.
It's you have to understand as well. I think if anybody tried to come through,
Yeah.
much as Madame, Blavatsky tried to do, to enlighten people on ancient knowledge, and just to bring forward, different information that sat
Mhm.
outside, the norm of what was accepted, especially back in that time, they would have gone after her. 100% they would have
Oh,
gone after
guaranteed,
her. They don't
guaranteed.
want that kind of information coming forward. And, it was interesting because I remember being about 14, so it's a whole other life ago. But my mother and my aunt, there was this really cool priest that had just come in, and my aunt used to go to church all the time. And she goes, "Oh, Michelle should meet this priest. He's really wonderful." I'm like, "Why do I want to talk to a priest?" Because I was one of those unruly teenagers, because he was a cool priest. I said, "Okay, I'll talk to him. Sure, why not? He sounds like a lot of fun." you know. But he was very versed in a lot of different things. But here's something that it just, now I can look at it in hindsight and go, it's that old mentality.
Mm,
Okay. So he was talking about the age pretty much that we're living in right now. So the priests were educated on things that would be, things to come.
sure.
And he said, you're going to fall into a lot of new age things, that aliens are going to become this thing. People are going to, veer away from their faith, veer away from God, and go towards this whole new movement. Everything is going to be new age, and it's all trickery.
Mm.
And I thought to myself, that sounds like a thing. And now you can look at it, but we are living in that age.
Oh, absolutely.
We are in the age of all of that. I mean, you look at the age of trickery, just look at Bluebeam. Just look at, all of these programs that are out there to deceive or to
Yeah.
distract.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Gosh, that's so true. And you have to be so careful on social media because everybody's a guru. Everybody's got, all the mystical, esoteric answers. And, it's sad because a lot of people, they don't do the research. They don't go by what they believe in their gut. They just take these people at face value. And you have to be very careful about what you're wanting to believe to be true.
Oh, you need to research everything. Don't
Yeah.
just see something and say this is what it is. We live in an age of misinformation, and I believe that Helena lived in an age back then where it was not uncommon, to be silenced. I think you have every age has been like that. As long as man has ruled over the lands, you would have had those rules as to what you could say, what you can't say. We're not in any different of a time. It's only the technology that has changed. Exactly. So if you go against the narrative, then you become the enemy of the state, so to speak. Yeah.
You get canceled. And it's because I felt so sad for her because she must have been so alone. Because imagine even nowadays, talking like we do on this network, you can't bring that up at Thanksgiving dinner with people.
God, no. I've done stuff like that, and everybody looks at me. Oh, yeah, it's a conspiracy theorist. Yep, let me get my tinfoil hat on. Just gonna put it on and have a little,
Exactly.
And now they're like, oh, well, maybe you were onto something. Yeah,
I'm telling you. And it's funny. I tried doing that yesterday at dinner. And it's with my daughter's new boyfriend, and he's great. I love him. He's a very computer genius, smart guy. And as soon as I started getting a little too out there for him, his head started tipping like this,
just cocking to the side. Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, so let's go get some more turkey. Change the subject."
Oh yeah, you can automatically tell who's going to roll with you and who's just gonna, yeah. But I mean, that's the new joke now. All these conspiracy theorists were right. Yeah, funny that. But I mean, we have to keep an open mind, and I feel that unfortunately, in doing so, you maybe end up in the same situation as Helena did because you are, she came on board with something entirely outside the norm. Yet the inner circles they all knew. They already knew all of this information.
Yeah.
Freemasons, Rosicrucians. This is stuff that they knew. But
well,
this also went within the royal circles, the royal lines, upper crust. How come it's just like the low man on the totem pole?
Right.
Who were sitting there going, no, this isn't the thing. The church that condemned her already knew and had all of this information. They just didn't want it out.
I don't remember reading about how she died. Did you do any research into that? I was
No,
so focused
I didn't
on
get
her
that
life.
far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never got that far. Yeah. So that I can't help you with, unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't really read like how old she was when she passed this earth, but
yeah. But she had, you know what? I mean, she left behind, if you think about it, within Theosophy, you had so many different spiritual practices, not just in accessing the Akashic records, because you had to, it wasn't a verifiable physical thing, but there was those who had spiritual experiences, those who had, faith,
Yeah.
So many people ended up with a whole newfound faith with all of that. But the controversies were, I mean, she was no stranger to them. She was considered a charlatan. She was considered evil. And that depends really on the observer because, those who knew and were educated knew that it was simply, yes, educated. You know, she was a pioneer. People now get into esoteric studies and they can thank her for a lot of that stuff because
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the gospel truth, and her name is not
yeah,
really given the credit that I
no,
think it absolutely deserves. Interestingly, she used, like, as I was reading about her, she used the term, indestructible tablets of the astral light
mhm,
as the Akashic records.
mhm,
So I'm wondering, like, if she visually saw that they were tablets, or was it just astral light? Like, I always think about the words that people choose to use when they
mm.
talk about something like that.
Well, when you look at tablets, you look at the Emerald tablets, you can look at the Ten Commandment tablets.
Right.
What is it about the tablets?
Yeah.
The Emerald tablets. There's been archaeological studies and under even one of the pyramids in South America where tablets were found, copper tablets. So
Wow.
so I mean, I think back then that was people would write ancient Sumerians. They find so many tablets. So many ancient cultures have tablets. It's really not to me out of the norm to use that choice of words, mind you, the 1800s. But if you're
Yeah.
tapping into something that's ancient, maybe that's the visualization
Yeah, that she
that would have
got.
presented itself. What did she see? You look at Peter Pentegore. He's like, this is what I saw. How
Oh,
did
yeah.
she see them?
But it's always that astral light, like, even in the NDEs, it's always referred to that light, and then you've got a
Mhm,
bunch of people on social media telling folks, and this
mhm,
bothers me, not to
mhm,
enter the light, that it's like a deception used
mhm.
by, I guess, the reptilian race, Dracos or somebody, and I
Archons, yeah.
yeah, somebody, and I don't believe that to be true. I don't know
Mhm.
why people spread this stuff, like, where they I don't
Thinking
know.
well, there is a theory, that we go into this if I guess if you're getting into the whole matrix thing, but there is that theory where we go into a perpetual loop because some people will say that, when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, it's a lot like a birth canal.
Right.
It's coming right back through. Your
Yeah.
loved ones are waiting for you. Yep, there's a doctor with his catcher's mitt
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah,
All right, let's go. Like there's that theory as well.
yeah.
And some people believe that all these time travelers that go on, people that just kind of show up are people who went to the darkness instead of going into the light
Yeah.
because the light
Yeah.
entices us to come back in one spot.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, that if you're looking at the schematic of things, we are conditioned to fear the dark on an average,
Right.
where we are conditioned to gravitate towards the light. So when you're passing, you automatically look for that light, the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
So it's just little things like that where people are like, no, this is absolutely a thing. Yeah, all I can say to that is when your time comes, do what feels right to you at that moment. So
Maybe we have no control over that, Michelle. Maybe these things are already delegated by our soul contract.
like a
Maybe,
like a
you know,
tractor beam.
yeah,
Yeah.
seriously, maybe we don't, because
Maybe.
everybody that
Yeah.
talks about NDEs
Mhm,
never says that, like, "Don't go into the light." They always
mhm.
say the light, they want the light, they
Mhm,
welcome the light. I don't
mhm.
know, it's so, like, I don't
It
know.
it's very different because the light is comforting, right? The light is very comforting. So I think, well, myself, like I've done energy work in both light and darkness. I don't fear either. I find
Mhm.
the darkness to be very, very comforting and very quiet. It's
Yeah.
just it has a beautiful quiet feel to it, you know? Whereas and the light feels energizing.
Yes, yes,
Like
yes. Well, it's the yin and the yang, right?
It's
Mm.
a cycle. It's a cycle, like when God has says, "I've given you 2 lights, one for the evening, one for the day." the moon, the sun. So it just keeps going around. My guest
Yeah.
the other day said it perfectly. It just keeps going around. So at that point, again, it's the balance. It's just a matter of what your belief system is. There are some cultures that aren't conditioned at all like that. They just don't. You look at, like the Buddhists,
Yeah.
they're just like, no, no, we're just gonna pop right back. It's reincarnation. There are others that don't believe in anything at all. And I have to say, in doing spirit work throughout the years, people who believe in nothing, and you kind of pop in, you get messages from them. They're still here, trying to figure out where they're supposed to go. They're grounded. Many of them are.
Oh, that's a good connection.
It depends, I think, on your belief,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I agree
So,
with that.
yeah.
That's funny. I never thought about that. Like that trapped spirits here
Mhm.
were just non-believers, or maybe just so lost in life that
Well, they get trapped for different reasons. They get trapped due to
yeah,
unfinished business. They get trapped maybe because they have messages that you never got to say goodbye. Maybe they died so suddenly that sometimes there's a belief that you get shocked
ah,
out of the body, and
yeah,
you're just kind of like, wait a minute, what happened? And they're still roaming around trying to figure out what happened. Why can't people see them? Or they're so attached to an item or a place or a person that they can't move on. There are many different reasons. But when you have people who sort of get stuck, you just, who, for example, atheists, you just don't believe. It's like, well, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I never
yeah,
taught.
yeah.
you
My brains are like on fire right now, and I'm trying to connect this to like her work because in Theosophy,
Mhm.
she talked about the cosmos and how human beings are structured like on multiple planes, I
Mhm.
guess, of existence, the physical, the astral, the mental. So how do you think this multi-layered cosmology, um, I guess, connected those unseen forces that how how did she tap into, do you think it was just, I know I'm like jumping from one question
I'm
to the
just
next.
like, what do you want me to say?
Because my brain's like on fire with
Where are
this.
we going with this, Caroline?
How do you think she connected the work that she did to her teachings? Like, do you think it was how did she know to go to India too? Because let's face it, these things weren't spread at that time. There was no
Because
way of
she
communicating.
was a world traveler though, and she studied because of the education she was given. If she came from a wealthy family, she would have been given access to certain teachings in her school that she attended, whether they be private, whether they be public, whatever the case may be. She was educated in a lot of ancient stuff, a lot of
Oh,
the
so
ancient.
she was
Well,
well,
yeah,
they
I mean, that's the thing, like, because
yeah,
of the education she received, right,
yeah,
it left her. She learned about ancient cultures, ancient traditions. It fascinated her from an early age, and I think when you start. Did she have access to the mystery schools? I don't know that she did, but
yeah, I'm wondering,
she
I
was
don't think I
associated with Masons, Rosicrucians, right, Martinists. They had access to that information. Right? So there's you're given this access. I mean, even when Manly P. Hall turns around and talks about somebody and says, like about her life and contributions, the mother of the new age, because she repackaged all of the lies of the old stuff and
yeah.
sort of put it together. I mean, even Christ allegedly went to India. Templars went to India.
I
Ancient
heard
mystery
that.
schools went. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of fundamental teachings that go way back, way back. I mean, Christianity is new in the grand scheme of
Oh,
things,
absolutely.
as opposed to
Absolutely.
the ancient, cultures
Yeah.
that have
Yeah.
been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So I think, we have to factor that in. She saw all it takes is a book. And if she had access to some libraries that had a
The
lot of
spark
really
her.
old information, she would have
Yeah.
known where to go to get certain information. She would have met people within the circles of this aristocrat,
That's
the
true
aristocratic,
too.
they would have said to her, "Hey, have you looked into this? Have you looked into that?" And she would have known. She would have been directed as to where to go. You don't come from, a family like hers and not. You travel in the circles. You don't travel with these circles. Again, Freemasonry and Rosicrucians, etc., and not be given some kind of information.
Yeah,
I've met people
yeah.
just through my travels and my work who are just like, "Oh boy, yeah, you should see the information we get when we reach this level." I'm just like, "Tell me, tell me." It's just like,
Yeah.
because one thing about having done television, people gravitate to you and they want to give you certain information. Doesn't mean you're allowed to talk about it too, but the thing is very interesting to hear it.
It is. I mean, somebody near and dear to me is a member of the Masons, and I'm always poking, trying to get
Mm.
information, and it's like moving an elephant. You can't,
Mhm.
you know, and you get answers like it's not meant for me to say. It's not meant for you to know, like those kind of things.
I was doing a tour once, and this Mason showed up, and he claimed, because I'm a 33rd degree. I knew what that was. I went,
Mhm.
"That's nice." Anyway, he had a little bit too much of this,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
after a really good meal, and started just spewing things out. "You
Oh,
don't believe
wow.
this is frightening stuff," or "This is amazing stuff," and his wife kept saying, "You really need to stop talking now." You
Ye
know? And I'm just sitting there trying to guide a tour. And he just came up after that. "This is amazing, all falling
Oh
all over the
my
place." And he
god.
kept going, and I'm sitting there going, "It's amazing." Things find you if they're meant to, you
Yeah,
know?
that's what I'm told all the
Yeah,
time, like, when it's
yeah,
meant for you to know, you'll
mhm,
know, like, those kinda answers, which drive me crazy, but, I
yeah,
mean,
but it's a fact. But I think, she had her critics, and she had her, you always get those who love you, those who don't, and her critics, particularly, were from different Christian ministries and early physical researchers. They made
yeah.
really strong accusations against her, actually.
Oh, yeah, I
So,
read that.
well, the Society for Physical Research, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're the ones that accuse her of all this stuff. They also felt that there was a strong demonic influence, right? With some religious critics claiming that she was possessed when she was channeling demonic entities, right? But that is a very strong Christian belief that, nope, there's, like, if you look into people who would be considered born again, they
Right.
don't believe in ghosts. Everything is a demon at that point.
Yeah,
But,
which is no way to go through life, to
no, and
see
the
it
yeah,
demonic.
yeah, and her root race theory, basically suggested a hierarchy of human spiritual evolution. Well, you can imagine that did go well,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
I mean, realistically, her followers believed her, and she traveled in circles where she was well educated on the matter, and they believed her, and they knew
Yeah.
when you.
I'm just amazed that especially during, like, the '90s when and even '80s when that new age movement was really,
Mhm,
roller coastering, and I was on that ride, and I never tripped across her, and I
mm,
used to, like, stand in the bookstore and grab as many books as I can,
yeah,
never heard of her before.
mhm,
It's just odd that
mhm.
she's like the mother of, like, the new age movement, and
But
we're
new
only
age, but also ancient esoteric.
yeah,
And that's a whole
definitely.
other a whole other
Yeah,
read all in itself. I mean, my gosh, I've when start researching things, I always say, like, in my mind, I'll just sort of put it out there. So, "Okay, just show me what I need to see." All
yes,
kinds of things comes up. The
yeah.
amount of information that I have found leading me down rabbit holes that are like, "I never knew this even existed. I never knew
Mhm.
this was even a thing." And you start reading and reading and reading, and you realize that it's just like, "Oh my gosh," like, nothing that we think we know. There's so
Oh, what
much
the hell?
more. Yeah, we know this. We're in this bubble. We know this, right? And when you start venturing outside of that, and you start seeing the tentacles and where they
Yeah,
go, It is mind-blowing. Right down into theology, right down into, religion itself. There's so much information, and
Yeah,
how characters and such have been changed, right?
that's true. What Wayne just said, our information in life would be removed for hidden from the masses.
Mhm,
That's probably so
mhm,
damn true.
mhm. Yeah, it's true.
And her mission, one of them in life, was to form like this nucleus, this brotherhood,
Mhm,
uh, so that folks can learn about this information. Like
mhm,
that was part of her main thesis. It
mhm,
was spread this information far and wide.
mhm.
So it's no wonder the Catholic Church hated her guts too.
Well, because you talked about things that you weren't supposed to talk about. She believed in reincarnation, and she taught that humans were immortal beings, which isn't,
Yeah,
Catholics will tell you the same thing, Christians will tell you the same thing. And any of the religions will tell you the same thing. So we are immortal beings. But for her, we were in these subtle energy bodies, astral, etheric, mental, in
exactly.
addition to a physical. So she just showed different levels of that. And people also, lean to the fact that there are a lot of ascended masters. If you say to somebody, for example, because there are those who believe that Jesus was an is an
Oh yeah.
ascended master, people
Yep.
are like, no, that's the Son of God. He's not an ascended master. So we start getting into this butting of heads just through terminology. To me, an ascended master, Buddha was an ascended master. I mean, there are
That's Buddha.
certain people
Yeah.
through our history who were ascended masters due to their teachings. Christ taught. That's what he did. He taught. When you get into the whole thing of the Christos and the Christ energy, like there's so much to all of that,
Yeah.
you know. But the fact, that even she did say, yes, he was the Messiah.
Right.
She wasn't saying, "No, he wasn't. He was just a guy." It's just like she's like, "No, he was the Messiah."
Yeah. Yeah. I've read those types of controversies as
Mhm.
well. Um, I don't know. Who else do you think would categorize as an ascended master?
There's
So
there's a whole list of them. There's a
there's supposed to
whole
be, I
list of
think,
them.
there's supposed to be like 12 or something like that.
Probably even more now, to be honest. There was a whole list. I remember coming across this a long time ago. And people who would just guide us. I'm just trying to look it up while we speak.
Yes.
Yeshua,
Because
right?
I know I read or remember about
Yeah.
something with Mother Mary and something with an archangel. I don't know if it was Gabriel
Well,
or
the
somebody.
ones I'm looking at the list right now. So we've
Yeah.
got Yeshua, who represents unconditional love and forgiveness. His teaching reminds us of the importance of connecting with our inner divinity, right? Saint
Right.
Germain. Okay. So she was
Ah,
working with,
there you go.
right? Master of the violet ray symbolizes transmutation, spiritual freedom, guides us in the transformation of negative energies and discovery of our
Mm,
personal power. Kuan Yin, the goddess of compassion and mercy.
never
Sh-
heard.
A
Wow.
goddess, no less, of compassion and mercy. Lady Nada represents selfness and love.
Lady Gaga? No, I'm kidding.
Now, right? No.
Not Lady
Buddha.
Gaga.
Buddha's here.
Yeah.
The Serapis Bay, El Moria, Hilarion, Lady Portia, Sanat Kumara. But I have to say
Oh, there's a
that
lot of them.
there's a lot of them, but I have heard that there were even others that are
Mm,
not, who are not here. Like they're not written down here. So, if you start getting into that, it
that's
gets
another
very
great
interesting.
show to do a set like a whole show on ascended masters,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There's so much information. There's so much information. There's a lot. There's a lot. So I mean, because I believe some of these ascended masters came even before Yeshua.
Yeah.
Like he's at the top of the list. There were some that were even before that. So there is a lot. I mean, this planet, we've been here a really long time. there were civilizations here long before us.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing some here that are within maybe the ascended masters of our time, but I've seen other lists with other interesting people. So,
It's funny because, like, spiritually, I'm always wanting to make sure that I'm on the right path because, through our adventures, our spiritual
mm,
adventures, sometimes we feel like we could, you know, kind of divvy off that path a little bit.
mm,
And, but I think as humans, because we're human and we're
mhm,
flawed
yeah,
humans, it's
yeah,
so easy to do. But then
yeah,
sometimes when you read all this information, it it gets so convoluted that you don't know which way to go, like what
mhm,
to truly believe. And I always try to go by my instincts, like what feels right
mhm,
spiritually. Like, when you get the Holy Ghost chills, like
yeah,
I usually try to use that as like a benchmark. I don't
yes,
know, Michelle, how do you
yeah.
navigate through it all?
I keep looking.
Yeah.
I keep looking. If something comes up, I delve into it and I
Mm,
cross reference it. And I'm just a natural student. Like I love to learn. That's why when
exactly.
you say, expert, I'm like, no, I think I've always said I'm a student. I never want to stop learning. Because I'll come on and do a show. I talk about a lot of different things,
Mm,
and if I haven't delved into it yet, I will. Like even long after the show is done, I will continue on down the rabbit hole and keep adding things to the research because I
yeah,
find it intriguing. There's so much there that has, like I said, that has been there long before even where we are now with this round of civilization. I think people are just starting to scratch the surface now because with the environment what it is, with technology what it is, I
yeah.
think that the planet is giving up some of her secrets to different
Mhm.
civilizations that are starting to surface. You look, that forever they thought, oh my god, we need to find the lost city of gold, El Dorado, and it was found, I believe, like by a 14-year-old. Just going through technology. But that's what technology leads. We have an archaeologist who works looking for monuments in Egypt, and she's done it all through satellite and has found tons of stuff. I think we're starting to realize, like, wow, we really aren't the first kick at the can. There really
Exactly.
are so many more things. Then you have remote viewers who can tap into things and find incredible amounts of information, and people are like, no, I see dragons. No, people are videotaping dragons just
Yeah, I've
flying.
seen them.
It's a freaking
Crazy.
dragon. I'm just like, so you see things, and then when you see it in the physical, and the technology, and now of course, in the age of AI, you have to question everything,
Oh
which is
gosh.
sort of sad because these things do exist, but they make you question everything, and you should, but
Constantly.
you can be deliberately being tricked into things too.
Absolutely.
It's just so you start questioning what is real, what isn't real. So they just don't want you seeing all of these things.
Yeah, and I think that is intentionally done to us, creating all this confusion,
Mm,
all the divisiveness, the division. It's all
mhm,
it's all intentional, absolutely.
mhm,
That's why it's so important to just go by your
mhm,
gut and your instincts and, when you get that,
mhm,
those feels that something to be true. Like,
mhm,
that's my best barometer anyway.
mhm. When the hair on the back of your neck goes up, you're onto
Yeah,
something. When your stomach feels like, you got butterflies in it, you're onto something.
absolutely.
It's just yourself, telling you, no, be leery of this or watch out for this. And sometimes it comes into just terminology. I pulled up something, it was just to give you an idea of
Yeah.
terminology. So the Akashic Records, well, it's information, telepathy, quantum coherence,
Mm.
oneness, unified field,
Ooh,
mystical anomaly, chakras, energy vortices, prana, bioelectric energy, aura, electromagnetic field, manifestation, quantum potentiality. Then you get
mm.
into the soul, consciousness field, sacred geometry, fractal patterns, third eye, pineal gland
Yeah.
activation, astral projection, out of body experience. alchemy, transmutation of elements, spirit guides, higher cognitive intuition, karma. I love this one. Cause and effect. So,
Yeah.
enlightenment, neuro phenomenological state, collective consciousness, emergent behavior in complex systems. Like there's technical terms for everything: ley line, geometric currents,
Yeah.
spiritual healing, epigenetic modulation, reincarnation, cellular memory or genetic memory, right? Miracles, quantum tunneling, intuition, subconscious processing. Like there's so many
Oh,
different things here, but this is an example of, if you're trying to research one thing, that if you just find a different terminology, it will take you down a different rabbit hole.
it is. It's like a spider web that they're
It
all
it
connected.
is. It
Yeah.
it is. And right down even to bloodlines or blood types. So because they believe, the positive blood types that's the God code, right? The God DNA they're coded to have really deep connections to the earth, stronger DNA energy fields, but geared to earth. Whereas your
Right.
negative types are more, obviously there's a lot about that says no, that they're hybrid. They may not be, but they are indeed connected to off-world frequencies. And
Yeah.
we are linked to different planets. Some people say, oh, higher intelligence. I don't know that I believe that, but we're definitely more psychically connected in some ways. Higher sensitivity. We don't need to ground as much. Less connected, however, to the collective here on Earth, which is,
Yeah.
I find I'm very connected here as well, and I'm a negative blood type. And then we start getting
Aren't
into,
you RH? Are you RH negative?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I think if you start factoring in all, like, everything, you just have to remember, like, I mean, some people believe that the negatives are a living bridge between the material world and the
Mhm.
celestial world. Like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of different things there. I would love to have known what Helena's blood type was.
No, I know.
This is
We'll never
out of
know that.
curiosity more than anything.
Yeah.
It could be nothing. But when I cross reference, I like to look at a lot of different factors just to
Sure.
see. The blood type one is an ongoing journey. I mean, so many people talk about that and make very interesting connections to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously celestial, it's the newer
Yeah.
than, the positive blood types. Because I find myself extremely connected, because I do a lot of planetary work. I'm very connected to the planet, but again, it is a celestial body of sorts too, right? So, meh,
Yeah. I
right?
don't know. It's
I know.
it's a lot. It's a lot to process, but,
Yeah.
and I think too that it's important for us not to overwhelm ourselves with any of it, and kinda do what we said before. Whatever information is meant for you, it will find you. And
Hmm.
that's kinda what I rely on. Like, just even the topic of Helena,
Hmm.
I was like, I have to dig into this woman." It's almost like it calls to you
Hmm.
for whatever reason, and I like that. I like trusting in that.
Hmm. Yeah. I think that all you can do is follow your own lead.
Yeah.
Don't follow the masses. Follow your own lead. If
Yeah,
something
the masses
interests
are
you,
asses, right?
the masses get confused. They really do.
That's right.
Because we're all very individual. We all have different belief systems. We're all conditioned. Yeah, similar in some ways, very different in other ways, depending on upbringing and those within our circle. But I do know that we do live in the age of the internet, and even AI will be a little bit off for a while, because remember, there's still somebody that has to teach it. So,
Absolutely.
so and Wikipedia was never the best source to start with, and how much of that is moving over to AI now. So, yeah. So I think it's a matter of, you know, pick up a book. I have a really amazing library of books as well, and um, I used to buy a lot of old magazines, and where you might get some of your best sources. Everybody thinks, no, internet or buy new encyclopedias with updated information. Sometimes it's the old books that
Absolutely.
has the old encyclopedias, older the better, and you will find a lot of really interesting stuff that maybe was allowed to be put in there back then, and maybe now not so much, right?
There's a podcaster on that's so true. On YouTube, he goes by Archaics,
Mm,
and he is one of the most unbelievably talented people when
mm,
it comes to old books and history.
mhm.
And he's got thousands of them because unfortunately he had served time in prison and he did a lot of reading in there.
Yeah.
And he's got a huge channel now and I
Mhm.
love watching his information. I think you would love that too because I know you love history and
I do.
historically,
I
yeah,
I I
right on the
do,
spot.
and I think that there is a lot of what I call gold in them
Yeah.
their books.
And then there are books.
Not them hills, but in them their books.
That's
And
good.
I do tend to gravitate to books that are, like, into the 1800s and sometimes
Yeah,
older.
Heidi, keep that one. 1970s.
Keep
That's
those.
good.
Keep those.
Keep
Yeah,
those.
and it's incredible the amount of information that you will find. Not that you
Yeah.
can't go in and expand on it, but, I've different shows that I've listened to or different information that I found, where people post on certain social media saying, "You know what? I found all of this information in this old book," and they take pictures of the page and they post it in the post, and then they will go on and try to do searches for them, and then they'll show a little video, and
Yeah.
and they'll say it's not here. So
Right.
it's like, okay, well, maybe it
Yeah.
was not accurate, so they removed it, or maybe they just don't want
Did it
that
intentionally.
seen. Yeah,
Exactly. Oh, look at the flat earthers now. I don't wanna, like, get into that whole thing, but,
yeah,
well, you have to give them a little credit because they really get a lot of research behind
yeah,
them
yeah.
and are constantly talking to pilots and documenting mathematical equations to prove their theory correct. So I give them credit for that. I mean, I don't know. I
There's a
had
lot
one
of world maps that actually show flat Earth.
yes, that's my
I
and
don't know.
even old
Yeah,
books.
I'm not a flat earther by any means, but I'll tell
Right.
you, it's pretty compelling, some of this stuff.
Oh, it really is. And
Yeah.
I had a gentleman on who was
Oh, Dave was
dedicated.
awesome. I've had him on
Yeah,
a couple times. I love that guy.
he's great. And I
Yes.
also had another gentleman on who thinks the earth is not really flat, but more like a donut shape. So, like,
Oh, okay.
everybody's got
Well,
these
yeah.
yeah, everybody's got these
Yeah.
theories, and they back it up with a lot of science. It makes you
Yeah.
really I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe the earth is flat, Michelle, and we're being lied to. I'm not a flat earther either, but
I'm
I don't
not, but
know.
I just see something when you start looking beyond the
Yeah.
ice wall and you start looking at maps,
Yeah.
and I think it's is it the UN? There's one big government, world government place that you can go into, and when you look on the floor, I think it
It
could
is the
even be
UN.
in New York and the UN, and there's I think a thing in New York, and it's it's as flat as the day is
We've
long.
got the flat earth map.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. It
Is
makes
it
you
one of
wonder.
those things that, they just did their job so well? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
know.
know.
You
But
know what sketches me out when pilots say that the earth is flat? Like, I've seen interviews, like,
Mhm,
while they're sitting in their cockpit,
mhm.
and people go up to them and say, "Hey, do you see any curvature?" Like, and they'll be like, "No, never. It's flat as a pancake." I don't know, Michelle. What does Wayne think? Because he's not a flat earther, right?
Yeah, can I phone a friend? Wayne.
Can I
Yeah, yeah. No, he's not. He's not.
That's
He's
good.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
There really is so much information I think that will never be made privy to. It comes back down to the fact that there are ancient libraries all over the world. You know where you're going to find the truth on some of this? Go to Tibet, to the ancient library that's there. Go to Romania, where there's an ancient library there that was found. Go to the Vatican, you'll never see that. I mean, some of this stuff is so old, I don't imagine they'll be able to translate it all as well. So you have that aspect of things. But there are private libraries throughout the world, okay, who have collections of literature that will never that will
You're right.
never be made public. And
Yeah.
this
What
is
about
where
what they've burned? What about the libraries that they've burned, Michelle?
Alexandria,
Yeah.
you
Tragic.
know, it is, because people don't realize that the ancient library of Alexandria, whenever somebody came into port, they had to hand over all of their literature,
Yeah.
and it would be copied, and then the originals would be returned to those who, who they took it from, and then they would
Yeah.
have scrolls, and that would get put away. It had everything for that reason, because anybody
Terrible.
who came from any part of the world through this port in Egypt would have to have handed in everything, and it would have been copied and such, and that would have been such an undertaking. And then, of
Yeah. Yeah.
course, they blamed the church for burning down the
But didn't
library
they
of
blame
Alexandria.
Nero too? Didn't they blame Nero?
Nero burned everything.
Yeah.
So anything's possible.
Bastard.
I know. Rome is burning. It's like a thing
He's
made of stone.
fiddling.
I know. So yeah, I mean, there is a lot of information, but if some of this literature is what people are learning from in the mystery schools, and I always go back, ancient mystery schools, but I mean, after speaking with Ira, my guest, is kind of like, she goes, no, I was raised in the mystery schools, real mystery schools. They're still there.
Where are them? I want to sign up. Do they have an open enrollment period or?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was a trade-off. I mean, she walked from all of that. So it was
Yeah.
very elite families, very Luciferian and so on.
Oh no, I don't want to
Yeah,
Luciferian.
there's a reason that some of these
Yeah.
people are the way they
Yeah.
are, right? So
Yeah, true.
yeah, but it's fascinating, and it would be a curiosity if Helena was ever educated.
I was going to ask you if you tripped on anything because I remember reading something about her occult practices. So,
Mhm.
did you read anything? Was she into any of the alchemy or occult practices? Did you trip on that?
You know
I
what? It's something that I no, I didn't get too deep into it because it was just a timing thing. When I research things, like when I really researched, when Joe and I were doing the Gray Zone, and I was researching, it would take me about probably 25 to 26 hours a week on one topic to
Gee,
properly, because we were doing one show
yeah,
a week. Yeah, it
yeah.
was like almost a
Can we
full-time
still
job.
watch that? Is that on anywhere to watch?
Members only on on UFO
Oh, it's
Paranormal.
members.
Yeah, yeah. It was always designed for members only, and members, I mean, a couple bucks a month or so. It was never a crazy amount of money, but
Yeah.
the show was always meant to go to pay-per-view. And we let it air live one night, the first night, which we said, let's just take the most ridiculous time of the week, which was dinner time on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And oh my God, the show did so well. It
No
did very well
kidding.
on pay-per-view as well, but the live audience who tuned in, it was great. And I only used internet sources because it was during lockdown. And we thought it would be good for people because libraries were closed, that they could, if
Yeah.
they wanted to expand on their knowledge, that they could, I would list all the sources so they could go and continue on topics that were very interested to them.
Oh,
We did, like,
nice.
I don't know, like 55, 60 segments, something like that. Like, it really,
Wow.
yeah, it did really, really well. But so for myself, when I properly deep dive, like we do the show in like 3 months or 6 months, it'd be an entirely different show because I would have that much more information.
Yeah.
So,
So you can watch it today. It's just members only.
Yeah.
Is that on the UP
UFO
our
Paranormal? Yeah, UFO Paranormal
website?
YouTube page. Yep. No, well, yeah, it'll take you to on the YouTube channel. It's UFO Paranormal YouTube, and that's where you'll find it. It's got membership there, and
I
I
would
will
love to watch those.
often do shows and give snippets of some of that research, but you'll only get snippets of it. So
Yeah. The Gray Zone.
yeah.
That's a good name
It was the
too.
Gray Zone Uncensored. Thank you very much. If I need to
That's
find a
good
name,
name.
I can pop out names like nobody's business. So,
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
good
I've
one.
done that for a few shows. So it's just,
I know you
but-
told me about one. I think we can't name it, right? That you named that's currently on air. That's like amazing that you named.
yeah, probably not. If it's not on our network, I can't. No.
but
Yeah.
it's an amazing name.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
perfect
Yeah.
show. Yeah, I
Yeah.
watch it every week, and I always think of you, and I
Uh,
go,
mm.
"Damn them!"
Well,
Like,
sometimes I don't name the name per se. I
yeah,
just create the show. So I know the one you're talking about, and
yeah,
yeah, I created the entire concept. Like, let's put it this way: when I started watching it early days, I was like, "Huh." I was and
it's a
then I
damn
knew
good
because
show.
you know how everything comes around full circle. Because I was
Yeah,
working on creating another show, and the producer, I guess, who was in the works, the in between guy for that show that we're talking about
yeah.
right now, ended up being brought in to work with me on this other show. He goes, "Yeah, I did this show." And huh. So, but it was funny. I love to create, and it's just a part of my job that I love
And
to do.
both shows are pretty incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
they really are. I like
Yeah.
them both equally. But
Yeah.
you created the premise for the second one, right?
I would have to see which one you're naming
All
for
right,
that.
we
So
can talk about that offline,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and it's not easy coming up with these because the market's like saturated with so many different
Well,
shows. I mean, and
that was the
you came
point was
from that.
that when I had retired and I ended up doing a couple of documentaries after that. And then I think I ended up doing, I finished off on one series that I had committed to where I was on. And I was asked essentially, if you were to film again and come out of retirement, what would you want to do that you've never
Mm,
done? And I gave him, and I laughed and I said, well, what do you want it for? Because I don't want to film. And they, they had told me what they wanted to do. And realistically, I had the whole thing created probably within about an hour
wow.
with locations and everything. I gave them everything. And I said, I just want credit for it, which I never got. That's all I asked for. And I think they're what, 5, 6 seasons in? At
Wow.
least, maybe more, more by now. But I just laughed. I'm just like, that's the nature of the beast,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, I even did their scissor reels, 2 of them, just to show them, which way to go with it.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
they kept with it for the most part and changed a couple of things. I'm glad people love it. I'm glad it's doing so well. And
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
mean, even the Dead Files, the Hillbilly mentioned,
there's a
Hillbilly
lot with
Herb.
that. There's a lot with that too. I've heard different things, like who it was really modeled after.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and well, sure, things aren't necessarily created for the actors that you see, and then there's other information that surfaced after that, which I'm not going to say, but
Yeah.
it is interesting. I think you either love these shows or you don't, and the paranormal is one of those things that is so far out there. I would love to see more shows on the esoteric, on actual ancient stuff,
Absolutely.
you
I
know.
love them. I mean, I'm like
Mhm.
addicted to them.
Yeah,
Even Ancient Aliens, I love watching if
yeah.
it's,
Yeah, and there's just anything, with Graham Hancock and doing things on,
yeah,
you know, call completely obscure archaeology, things that people just look at him and go, "Yeah, you're crazy." No, he's not. He's right on
yeah,
the money.
right.
Right on the money. You watch anything Graham Hancock does because that guy is right on the money.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I
So,
mean, you must, through your decades of research, you must have tripped across a lot of stuff that was pure garbage and stuff that wasn't, right?
mm, for
What
sure, for
show
sure.
stands out to you as being like spot on, truly authentic?
I don't watch a lot of television. I do watch documentaries, however, and I have to say with television, this is why I like documentaries, and this is why I like a lot of things
Yeah,
that are done by independent filmmakers and such, because I've done film and I got stereotyped doing something I'm not at all like. Right?
yeah,
So it's just like I'm not talking head and you give, 5 answers and there's only one
right,
they go
right.
with and it's the money one, right? It's just like
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
stereotypes you is one of the reasons I just wanted to stop altogether. But I'll
Mhm.
tell you, getting into documentaries, I love Small Town Monsters and they do their documentaries. It's done so well. Um and I love the guy because he's got this gentle voice, and it's just really
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And in fact, a person who I really respect, Jason Hewlett, he's gonna be back on next week with me on, Beyond the Outer Realm, and he's going to be talking about his book called Heart of Ice: The Search for the Wendigo, or Tracking the Wendigo. And
Oh,
Small Town Monsters did a documentary on it, Tracking the Wendigo. And they've got all kinds, all kinds of documentaries. Like, they release them, like, and they do a good job. They work with researchers,
you have
they
what's his name? Offit, I think that author that
Oh, yeah, he's coming on now in
whenever is he
February.
coming? He's coming,
He
right?
was, yeah, twice we've just, he couldn't make it when scheduled. And
'Cause his book was phenomenal. Like, I
oh,
read his
yeah.
book.
Yeah, he's gonna come on Beyond the Outer
Oh,
Realm. The day show's a little easier for him, so
good.
we're in the process of scheduling that now. But yeah, I mean, there are people out there who are really, really wonderful, and
Oh, did
and
such great research too. We
yeah.
had a real good talk on that, on his book, and he dug up monsters I never knew existed too, from these small towns, from these little
Yeah,
small towns that,
I know,
you know,
I know.
supposedly existed.
There's places out there, that people really have no idea, and it's funny because Amelia sent me some stuff on the Appalachians, and she goes, "What the crap is this?" And I
Oh
looked at it, and I
my
had a
god.
friend who lived in the Appalachians, and she's just relocated, and she was telling me about a couple of things. Like, "You live in a small dang cabin in the Appalachians, we're just looking for trouble." She goes,
Yeah, it
"Yes,
is
you
some
know me.
scary
Yes, I
stuff.
am." Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it is really
yeah,
brutal, but there's these
yeah.
little things, there's these things out there that get witnessed by people that may not even necessarily have a name,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, there's some crazy stuff out there, and, for I mean, we'll be talking about one, because I'm a moderator host for two real cryptid legends with Ron Moorhead and Daryl Denton, and these guys are really legends. They are,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, in cryptozoology, it's amazing. And Ron is known for the Sierra Sounds, and I have to tell you, if you guys haven't heard of the Sierra Sounds, these are Bigfoot sounds. You'll never hear anything like it.
Yeah, I heard recordings. It's mind-blowing.
It's a
Mind-blowing.
language. It is a language.
Yeah.
There's so much being uncovered right now, and Daryl also, like, I mean, I wanted to do a show on Land Between the Lakes. I have so many requests because it is one of those freaking areas, and, Dogman and Bigfoot, and he came on, and my mind kept doing this,
Yeah, I watched that show.
mind
It
blown.
was great.
Well, they're
Yeah.
coming on this Monday night because right now the show is biweekly. They are here on our network. And Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, is going to be the next show on December the 1st. And they're going to talk more in depth about Daryl's experience with Dogman in the LBL region. And Ron will give his insight and does a lot of quantum stuff. And Ron is the guy who got all these incredible Sierra sounds. So the two of them together are amazing, and it's going to be a very, very interesting show for those who are
Oh,
interested,
yeah. Yeah.
right? So there's all kinds of stuff out there. The world is not what it seems.
No, it's not. It's truly not.
Mm-mm. You have
And
to start.
it's kinda scary uncovering all this stuff.
Mhm,
Michelle, it's almost like those that don't wanna see and just live their lives not wanting to know or see,
mhm.
just don't. And
Yeah.
those of us that do, like, we're constantly tripping across this stuff, getting fed this information. It's just
Mhm.
so interesting because it really does find you, I believe. It
It
just does.
does. It does. It
Yeah.
does. And I think a lot of it is, if you take away your fear,
Mhm.
is it's a real big one,
Absolutely.
you
The
know?
fear.
So I think it's just, don't be so fearful, be open-minded, um, because I think especially in the world of cryptids, people have experiences, and
Yeah.
people, they just don't wanna go there. They just
Yeah.
don't, and if you talk about it, you get ridiculed. But you have to remember, the paranormal
Yeah.
went through the same thing. People still get ridiculed for talking about certain things. People
They
get
do.
ridiculed for their beliefs, and you know what? Things are what they are. You're never going to escape that side of things. That's why I say, do your own research. It doesn't matter. Don't let other people rent space in their head. Don't believe everything you hear. I've had people say to me, "Thank you for explaining things the way you do. We understand it in layman terms." Yes,
Exactly.
but I can only talk about based on situations with people that I've worked with. I can't put a blanket over everything and say this
Yeah.
is the way it is. And of course, you don't hear all the logical things that I say either, because that
Right.
doesn't sell. That's not good for ratings. So
That's
you'll never hear
true.
that. And then people come
That's
on my show and go, "I never knew you thought like that." Yes. Yes, I have logic.
Yeah, of course,
I
of
too have
course.
logic. Yeah. It's not all just ratings. The ratings have nothing to do with me. I'm glad people enjoy the shows. I'm glad people relate. And if anything, it's allowed people to find me if they've had questions or if they need me. It just gets very overwhelming because there's so much. And this is a time of
Oh,
year
yeah.
where people weather factors in a lot as well. I
Yep.
mean, I always say sometimes
Absolutely.
things come in with the wind. They do. They do. It's just energy, right? You have more
Yep.
static in the air as well this time of year as it gets colder. Um, and people report having more activity. The nights are longer. The days are shorter. The pressure is
Yep.
different. There's many different reasons as to why things happen the way they happen. And we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones here. We share space with many other races of
We do.
beings here. It doesn't mean
And
they're
they
all frightening.
right,
They may
exactly.
look frightening, doesn't mean they are.
Exactly. Well, some of them are kinda creepy looking. Like some of those cryptids,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't like that one that crawls on all fours and
Yeah,
it's
there's a
like all
crawler. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like that thing.
No,
I
I
can't
know.
even watch a video of it.
They have some
That
called
thing
like the
freaks
rake, right? The
oh, the
crawlers, the
rake, that's
rakes.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
No, no,
yeah.
me and that thing do not jive. I never want
There's
to see one of those things. Never.
no, no, and there are some that do. Like, I mean, you talk to Don Yazzie, who's Don't
Yeah.
Whistle at Night on our network. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
on the
Yep.
Navajo Nation, that guy has seen so many things. I just can't imagine that
Spiders
many
and
things in one place.
yeah, like I heard him talking about these giant spiders once or something.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that on my show. I'm like, "I'm
Oh
good.
my
I'm good
word,
without the
no.
spiders."
No,
But,
thank you.
no, but they are there, and I talked about one of these when Wayne and I, just on Wednesday night, we talked about this apartment building, that had the people were disappearing in the elevator, and
What?
it drained of their blood, and it turned out it was one of these giant ass spiders, just saying.
No way.
Yeah, yeah.
What show was this on? Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday nights,
Oh, I have to watch that
Wayne and I
now.
did
Now I
that
have to
one.
go
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. I was just like, "Run."
no,
There is real.
spiders, no.
Yeah, one was
No.
a police officer, right? Then they were a pair, and one of them died from those injuries, and the other one just shot the thing, and they got like a 3-foot part of its leg off.
Was this in Australia or something?
Nope, it's not
'Cause
one of
they
those
have freaky
spiders. No, no, this
yeah, they
thing
have
like
freaky
attacked you, like it just and it drains your blood. Like they would find
how
puncture wounds.
wonderful.
Yeah, see, there's things out there we just don't
Oh, there
know.
are, and it's not make
I know.
believe. It's
No, it's not. It's not. There are things out there that are crazy, and a lot of these places, there are a lot of there are a lot of entrances
yeah,
into what they
nice.
believe is right, inner Earth. LBL is one of those places out through different
Yeah,
regions of Tennessee and up in the Navajo Nation and possibly Skinwalker Ranch and all the way down to Blind Frog, down through the whole mesa. You know what I mean? No, it took off. And yeah, it
Michelle's
took off.
asking if they caught it.
Yeah, no, that thing took off. Memory serves me correctly. I wonder if they found it with others.
Oh, jeez,
I
you mean
have
like
to
a
think.
pack of them?
Yeah. Kinda makes you
Oh,
think about It, doesn't it? The movie It?
yes. Yeah.
I know. But
Oh,
these
no.
things exist and, where do they come up from? Do they come up from the ground? Remember, people, we got cave systems with tunnels that go
Right.
on forever, and this is all over the world.
Who
All
knows
over the
what's
world.
down there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they found a huge nest in the elevator room, Wayne said. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Of these spiders.
Oh,
And it didn't
that's
like the
so
light. So keep a
amazing.
flashlight with you. It did not like the
You
light.
know, I won't even walk under trees because I saw a spider nest drop out of a tree on somebody's head once,
Okay, so
and
that's
they
it
had
for me.
thousands of them.
No. Yeah, I'm
I
good.
will not walk under a tree.
Oh,
It ain't
no.
happening.
No. No, no, no.
No.
No. So you see, there's all kinds of stuff out there that is
Yeah, there really is.
far
It really is.
exceeds it far exceeds like what our conditioning allows us
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to accept. I've seen lots of things. Oh my gosh, I've seen lots of things. And some of the research that I've done, I found lots of things. So the one thing about modern technology, yes, be careful because things can be fudged. Just never mind the digital, the
Oh,
AI is through the roof. But you know what? Everybody has got one of these, right?
right.
And for the most part, it can take a picture, and people are finding and videotaping incredible things. They're out there.
Yeah, and the sad part about that too is you don't know what's AI generated and what's not. And I heard that's why you're right. Research, research, research. You have to
Mhm.
really do the legwork. Like we have a college local and they have a fantastic library there. And
Yeah.
every now and then I'll pop in and do the old index card thing.
Yeah.
They
That's
still
what I'm
have.
saying. Get a book.
Yeah,
Get a book.
exactly. Yeah. But a
Old magazines.
programmer, yeah, exactly. A programmer told me that they're taking the safety measures off of AI. A lot of hackers are because these large language modules can be easily reprogrammed by 16, 15-year-olds.
Mhm.
And what they're doing is they're
I
like,
know.
they call it jailbreaking them
Yeah.
and they're making them have no filter. So, like, it's just pure havoc craziness. Like,
I can imagine the mentality of a 15-year-old what that AI is gonna be like,
I'm telling you.
But I
So
mean,
the guy No, the
like the
guy said to me he was gonna give me a copy when he jailbreaks it. So if I get one, you're gonna get one.
I have to hear this thing for sure. I think it'd be outstanding.
I'm
But
telling you.
what worries me with AI, you and I have talked about this, and I don't know if everybody caught the show last night, the replay. I replayed Blue Light with David Jones because, um, he had paranormal experiences growing up, and then he got AI. He created this AI companion. He goes, I was at work. I just getting, something to interact with because he had long hours at work by himself.
Mm, yeah.
And then this something came in
Oh,
and
jeez.
started to accelerate things. And things started happening to people coming into his life. And
What?
yeah. And I mean, yeah, it was a replay. Definitely worth the
I'm gonna
watch.
go watch that too tonight now.
It was wild. It was really wild. And in the end, before he signed off, things had escalated in his home. And we touched on, an entity coming in. And when he had said, he goes, it's not worth he doesn't have the energy to fight it. And I kind of went,
Oh.
and people are reporting attachments
Oh,
through because we had
through
remember.
AI?
Yeah, do you remember when you and I were on when
Yeah,
we
we had a
talked
whole
about grief,
conversation.
right? And we talked about grief and how now they have grief bots or grief chats where they can create images or personas of
Yeah.
their loved ones, and then something comes in to add to the grieving process. Like it really is a very mixed thing with this, but people are falling into it, and things are absolutely happening.
Yeah,
So
I haven't heard of that happening with the grief bots, but I have heard of people getting attachments from like their AI best friends. Something like one persuaded a young boy, I think 14, to walk off the planet. So, who knows what that was. His parents are suing ChatGPT for that. They have a
I think
multi-million
that's the
dollar
one that
lawsuit.
this guy used too, I believe.
Oh, wow, no kidding. Well,
So
they put
s mm,
security measures now, but still.
yeah, but I mean, he was an adult and he put this forward. I think if you're grieving, things can come in because of the state of mind you're in to start with, but when you factor
Oh,
in something that
absolutely.
that is developing, I mean, if they can affect your television and your lights and your appliances and your
Exactly.
energy, they can affect another piece of technology. We're
Why
energy. It's
not?
that simple.
Well, you know, I always
consciousness
go
is
back.
energy, you know?
Exactly, and I always go back to Nathaniel, who I love watching when you have him on. He's
Mm.
just such a I mean, you know, he makes you realize that not everything is also the way that it seems to be, and that a lot of the stuff that presents itself as light is not necessarily light because these demonic forces are so good at
He and
camouflaging
I
and
did a show right after
years.
the very first
Yeah,
airing of Blue Light. This was last night was the replay, but the very first airing of it, we did a show not long after that that talked specifically about the AI connection. Yeah, he's a
yeah,
good friend.
Nathaniel's
He's a good friend. I
yeah,
really
he's
like
a
him.
real
Yeah.
resource of, and you know, it's interesting because like the first time I heard him, I was like, oh, this is so dark. It's so dark. But then as I listened to him more, I started not looking at it from that perspective. It's
Mm,
not really just about darkness, it's about being tricked and deceived and to look at things more
mm,
carefully and be skeptical of what you think, like with UFOs. I mean, we had a whole conversation about that too, that a
mhm.
lot of them are not what they seem to
He's
be.
he is, I mean, he works and researches with people who are very highly regarded within
Mhm.
both fields, and he posted something recently on Instagram, and it talks a lot about sigils and how a family found sigils on their walls.
Oh, jeez.
And it's just like, you know, you really got to start delving into sigils hardcore, seeing
Absolutely.
what they are. And again, Nathaniel, we have a whole series of shows that he's done
Yeah, yeah,
on the outer realm that talks about all these
yeah,
different things, and he's worth following if
yeah.
you're interested in that sort of content because
And he
he's
approaches it
pretty revered.
from like a very academic
He does.
perspective.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
yeah,
very
he's
well
very
respected within that field for sure.
yeah,
You can love him,
yeah,
you can hate him, you don't have to agree with him, or you could be all about what he's saying. But the thing is, it's a different perspective. And it's not the first time I've heard that because I
yeah.
had someone on my show who he actually is researching with now, and a book has been written about it. It's some pretty wild stuff, you know.
Oh, it is.
Like I say, we live in an incredible universe, not just the planet per se, and there has been very old knowledge, and again going back, you know, to Helena Blavatsky, there's very old knowledge, and she just brought a lot of that old knowledge forward again. But there's stuff even far beyond that. I think she would have been a woman that looked at technology today and access to the internet, kind of would have went, whoa, this
Yeah,
is like,
exactly.
I can work with this. But the thing is, it's all out there. You know,
Yeah.
our creator didn't just create little old us.
Oh, gosh, no, I think everybody that's on this network and watches this network kinda knows that to be a
Yeah,
fundamental truth,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah.
that's one of the
We
core
all bring
teachings.
on you know, we all bring on a great array of guests. And Joe just sent me something last week, I believe it was, which was a screenshot. And it's just from one site that monitors, just to give you guys, you know, an idea of the reach that this network does have after 25 years being a network.
Mhm.
They monitored, I think it was just in and around the 3.7 million mark for podcasts. And
Wow.
UPRN was in the top 3%.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yes, kudos to all of us. So,
Who
and that's
knows?
just one site that monitors just one, you know, one group. You know, there are other sites like that. I mean, this is one site, but this is some of the stuff that he does behind the scenes. He goes searching. So we are very, very grateful for that. But we are a great group of people here, and we bring on great guests. And combined, we have a lot of decades of knowledge
Oh, yeah,
combined, and
yeah,
you know, and we go on, right? So
yeah. No,
yeah,
blessings for
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
and you manage it all, so kudos to you too.
Thanks. I love my job. So yeah,
I know
yeah.
you do, I know you do.
No, I do.
But I
I
think
do.
that's a good way to close this conversation.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much, Michelle. We
Thank
all
you.
love you dearly.
Thank
I
you.
I feel every time I talk to you, it's not 2 hours. Where did it go? Where
It's,
did it go?
I know. It's just like one of our wine nights.
It
We
is, I love
talk. It's
those.
like, I know.
When are we going to do that again? We have to do
Soon.
that.
Soon.
them.
I have a show this
I love
week, but maybe next week. Yeah.
All right. Keep me
Yeah.
in your brain. Keep me in
I
your brain.
shall. I
And
shall.
thank you, everyone in the chat. You guys are so wonderful. We absolutely love you and your support. Thank you, Wayne, for sticking around, and Patsy and Michelle and Heidi. And I don't want to leave anybody out. There's so many wonderful people that popped in. Oh my goodness, who else popped in? I'm trying to scroll through the Hillbilly Herb. Yeah, Herb. Yeah. I'm sorry if I'm leaving anybody out, but we love you all dearly. Michelle, what do you have lined up for next week? Anybody you ready to talk about? Or are you
yeah,
still?
I can. I can. I have got Jason Hewlett on Beyond the Outer Realm. He's going to be talking again about Heart of Ice, Tracking the Wendigo. And there's also a documentary based on it by Small Town Monsters, Tracking the Wendigo. So that's Tuesday at 2 p.m. And then we're getting into Marilyn Hughes, who's going to be joining me on Wednesday night. And her whole website is about astral travel. And she's got, different books she's going to talk about. So it's going to be pretty in depth, and it's people love her. Definitely tune in. Max and Furyk is going to come in on Thursday night to talk about his book, Flying Saucers Esoteric.
Ooh.
And then don't forget the guys, Ron Moorhead and Daryl Denton, on Monday night with little old me. And that's going to be, that's going to be 10 p.m. on Monday night. Yeah, I'm their moderator host.
Weren't you on once before with them? I know. I think I saw you.
Yeah, I'm the moderator host, so I'll be on every week.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so it'll be good.
So we have a lot to look forward to. For sure.
I think so. So yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you again, Michelle. I love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
I'll be in touch soon. Thank you, dear. Bye-bye. Well, thank you all so very much again. We greatly appreciate you and love you, and we hope you had a wonderful holiday for those of you that were in the States, that are in the States. And we will see you all over social media, and I will see you next Wednesday. Thank you so much, guys. Much love. Bye-bye.